Hello students, let us start our new session with the new chapter number 6, electromagnetic induction. Let us go through the introduction part of it. Earlier it was defined that electricity and magnetism, it means electrism and magnetism, both are separate parts. But now it is realized that both are always together. In earlier chapter, we have defined that while the current passing through the closed loop, magnetic field is generated. Here, the different concept or opposite concept we are going to learn, in which we try to define that magnetic field is present which can generate electric current. So the phenomena in which electric current is generated by varying a magnetic field, this is called electromagnetic induction. This fundamental generally we are using for transformer and number of ways. To understand this phenomena, electric induction, this concept is learned based on the Faraday and Henry law. They have done some of the experiments. Here, under this topic, we will go through 3 different experiments. First of that, in which one coil we are taking, denoted in diagram as a C1, and we are taking a bar magnet. That coil is connected with a galvanometer to take the reading of the current, whether it will be generated or not, we can verify through the galvanometer. While the bar magnet we are placing near to the coil, while we are giving movement of the magnet towards the coil, we able to get the deflection in galvanometer, which define that electric current is existed. Now, if we are keeping that magnet stationary, then no deflection in the galvanometer is there, it means no current is flowing. While we are taking bar magnet in opposite direction, while this bar magnet is moving in opposite direction, then again we can observe deflection in galvanometer. It again defines that electric current is existing. Firstly, we are doing this experiment by taking a north pole towards the coil and check the deflection in galvanometer. Second time, change the position of the bar magnet, take the south pole towards the coil and observe the condition. Here we also get the deflection in galvanometer, but the deflection is in opposite direction, right? Now, second experiment, in which instead of the bar magnet, we are taking another coil defined as a C2 as per in the diagram. To this C2 coil, we are giving external supply. Based on the external supply, current starts to flow from C2 coil. With the C1 coil, same as the previous experiment, we have connected a galvanometer. While from the supply, current starts to flow in the coil, and this coil, now we are moving, we are giving force towards the C1, and we able to observe the deflection in galvanometer defines that electric current is existed. Now we are moving that C2 coil away from the C1 coil, and we again observe the deflection in galvanometer in opposite direction compared to the earlier case. But we can say that deflection is there, electric current is existed. So here we able to get a relative motion between two coils, which also able to induce electric current. Third experiment, in which we are keeping coil stationary, same as the second experiment. We are taking a C2 coil with the external supply, but we are using a switch. So here, while the switch is closed, current starts to flow in C2, and C1 is connected with the galvanometer. Now, from the center of the C2 and C1, one common rod we are taking, which we are going to rotate. So as K1 is pressed, switch is pressed, current starts to flow from C2 and the rod is rotating. Based on that, effect is available over the C1 and we able to observe the deflection in galvanometer. Now, if that key is pressed for a long time, so my current is stationary, no variation in the current is there. So we can see that galvanometer pointer is on the null point, means no deflection is there. Now if switch is open, so current starts to reduce and goes to 0. In C2, shaft is rotating, we able to observe the reading over the galvanometer. Galvanometer will get deflected, but in the opposite direction. So again we can say that current is produced in C1. So here rotating shaft and key plays a major role to generate a magnetic field in the C1 and electric current is induced, which we can observe through the galvanometer. So this is over here 3 experiments are there using the bar magnet, using a coil movement and using a shaft, rotating shaft and the key. By having all these 3 experiments, we observe that electric current is induced in coil C1 by all these 3 different parameters. Magnetic flux. Here, magnetic flux is basically gives you a relation between a magnetic field within that area. So here now one conducting material in which magnetic field is passing through it, the direction of the magnetic field in the orientation or area of the material, conducting material, this gives you the flux. So B dot A, that is a flux, magnetic flux, that is a B dot A. So there is an angle between B and A, can be defined as BA cos theta. If there is a plain paper or plain surface, then there is the same orientation of magnetic field and we can say magnetic field and area is available. But if we have a curved or a curvature, in this case magnetic field is passing through a different direction. So there is a different angle between B and A. So we are going to take a small portion of the area in which magnetic field is directed. So we are taking a flux of smaller areas and we are going to add each fluxes individually. So we able to get a total flux of curved surfaces. So SI unit of magnetic flux is Weber or Tesla per Tesla meter square. Magnetic flux is basically a scalar quantity. Now, next topic is Faraday's law of induction. We have observed a number of experiments earlier, Faraday's and Henry's experiments, in which it gives a conclusion that an EMF is induced in a coil when magnetic flux through the coil is changes with the time. Whatever the object we are moving towards or away from the coil C1, this is nothing but we can say magnetic flux is generated, that we are varying a magnetic flux. Variation of the magnetic flux can generate an EMF. So same in the experiment 1, we are changing the position of the bar magnet. In experiment 2, we are changing the position of coil C2. By changing its position, whatever the magnetic field is generated from the current, which gives you the magnetic flux, and magnetic flux variation gives you the EMF in coil C1. As the EMF is produced in C1, current starts to flow through that coil. So here, magnetic flux through the coil C1 produce the EMF in coil C1, and based on that, current starts to generate it. Same in the case 3 or experiment 3, in which key and rod, which gives you the deflection or variation of the magnetic flux, the effect of it is generated over the C1 and current is produced. So the common point is that the time rate of change of magnetic flux through a circuit induces EMF, and that is the law of electromagnetic induction. So the law is stated that magnitude of induced EMF in a circuit is equal to the rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit. EMF is defined by epsilon. So the equation is minus d phi b by dt. Negative sign gives you the direction of EMF and as well the electric current. If we are taking a closely wound coil which has n number of turns, in each turn flux is generated. So we can say that difference in each turn the flux is there. So while the flux is giving in the rotational manner, we can say that flux is varying in each turn. So if n number of turns are there, n times flux variation is available, it may produce a large amount of EMF. So my equation can become epsilon equals to minus n d phi b by dt. So we can say that generated EMF is directly proportional to the number of turns. If we want a large number of EMF, coil should have with large number of turns. In experiment 1 and 2, the flux is varying. The flux is changed by varying the magnetic field. So the flux can also be changed by the shape of the coil in a magnetic field, or rotating a coil in a magnetic field. So we can say that rotating of the coil, it also gives you the flux. It means depending on the angle between magnetic field and area. So ultimately we can say that flux can be varied based on the magnetic field magnitude B, area A, an angle between these two, that is a theta. So that is a phi B equals to BA cos theta. So it is depending on ultimately B, A and theta. Let us go through the example based on this. A part, what would you do to obtain a large deflection of the galvanometer? What we can do over here? We can use a rod of soft iron. It depends on the material inside of the coil C2. We can use a large powerful battery which is connected with the C2, right? So it can generate a more current in C2 which generates more magnetic field. More magnetic field, that gives you the more amplitude and variation in the magnetic flux. Flux gives you the electric current based on the generated EMF. And we can move rapidly C2 coil towards a C1. So time variation is very faster movement of the coil, which gives you the large variation of magnetic flux, which can also give you the variation in EMF and produce the current. B. What would you demonstrate the presence of an induced current in the absence of a galvanometer? If galvanometer is not available, so we need to determine that whether current, we need to observe that whether the current is generated or not. So this observation we also can perform by replacing a galvanometer through the bulb. So if current is present, bulb is on. If current is not available, bulb is off. So this is what available in your book, but we can also use LED if my current is available in milliampere. So if current is small, we also can observe that LED can glow with low intensity. If my current is maximum, LED will glow with maximum intensity, and if no current is there, then my LED is off. So either of the way we can observe whether the current is present or not. Next example, a square loop of side 10 cm and resistance 0.5 ohm is placed vertically in the east to west plane. A uniform magnetic field of 0.1 Tesla is set up across the plane in the northeast direction. The magnetic field is decreased to 0 in 0.7 second at a steady rate. Determine the magnitudes of induced EMF and current during this time interval. See, here it defines that it is vertically in east to west plane is available. So we can say that area vector theta is available with the 45-degree angle. So flux is BA cos theta. Flux is given magnetic field is given B, that is a 0.1. Area is given, so we can say that 10 raised to minus 2, and theta is available, that is a 45. So cos theta equals to 1 by root 2. So my result phi is 0.1 into 10 raised to minus 2 divided by root 2 Weber. It means 10 raised to minus 3 by root 2 Weber. Initially, phi is magnetic flux is 0, so minimum magnetic flux is 0. As flux is changed in 0.7 second, so epsilon EMF is minus d phi by dt. Instead of that differentiation, we can get a difference of these two values. So generated magnetic flux is 10 raised to minus 3 by root 2 Weber. Initially, that final flux is 0. So 10 raised to minus 3 divided by root 2 into 0.7 equals to 1 millivolt. So current is epsilon by R. So epsilon is 1 millivolt divided by resistance 0.5 ohm. So current will be generated, that is 2 milliampere. Here we are going to end our session. Hope you understood. Thank you.